Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. We're your hosts. I'm Sybil Amuti.
And I'm Brady Samuel.
And we are so happy to be here today, girlfriends.
So excited.
I'm so happy. It's just me and you again. Like the old days.
And you guys don't know where we are right now, but
Crammed in this
Sybil
booth.
and I are crammed into a quiet booth at WeWork.
You know it ain't going to be quiet for long when we
my
start laughing
goodness
and wilding out.
gracious.
Yes, we couldn't find a quiet spot, so we have to
We should
move.
take a picture of this.
Yeah, we look like conjoined twins. Shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, Lord, have
Oh my
mercy.
gosh. Happy summer, great girlfriends.
Happy summer.
Yes, I hope y'all are kicking this thing off right.
And let me tell you guys, Sybil, our listeners are expanding.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
We got a nice listener base out there in the West Coast.
Oh
so
my
we want to give a
gosh.
shout out to all our great girlfriends out in Cali.
West Side.
Oh, God.
I've been wanting to do that forever.
Oh,
West Side.
Oh, Lord. Help me.
Shout out to
help
the
me,
West.
help me,
But
help
we
me,
can't
help me.
forget the East and the South and the North. But we shout you out,
Absolutely.
West Coast.
And our Girls International.
Oh my goodness.
We
I can't
got
do
our
any
girls-
international
We cannot,
accents.
But our girls who are working in countries international, those of you who are expats over there, we see you. We see you.
Thank you so much for spreading the word. And thank you for all of those iTunes reviews that are coming in.
Yes.
So y'all, I don't know if y'all know this, but we have a goal. We're trying to get to 50 iTunes reviews by the end of the year.
I think we can do it by the end of the month.
Well, I hope so.
I
Let's
hope
see.
so, too.
Let's
Let's
watch them work on those
Do it.
iTunes reviews.
Let's do it. Okay, look, press pause on this podcast right now.
Right now.
Go to iTunes, and even if we would love a comment, but just
No, we want the comment.
we want the comment.
Yeah, we're being
Okay.
greedy. We
Okay,
want
we
the
gonna be
comment,
greedy.
the
All
5
right, all right.
stars.
Give us the 5 stars.
And if you put 2
give us
stars,
the
we're going to
comment.
find you.
We don't have any 2 stars.
Well, my friend Nicole had the nerve to accidentally give us a 3-star.
Oh.
You know Nicole.
Yeah.
And she couldn't go back and fix it. I was like, really, Nicole?
Oh my
Really?
God.
You gonna give us 3 stars, Nicole?
Oh
I
my
see you.
goodness.
I see you. Wait till she launch her situation. I'm gonna give her a negative star. I'm just joking. Yes, no, pause us right now. Jump over to iTunes. Give us that
Scoot over
comment
some.
and review. Brandon,
Scoot over a little bit.
I am over. This is good. Here we go, y'all. It's Friday, so she's feeling loose. Plus, she getting ready to go to Bermuda.
I'm
Ooh.
so ready to go to Bermuda.
Where you
Oh
going?
my
Why don't you tell the
God.
people where you going and why?
So I'm going to Bermuda next week because Harlem's Fashion Row has a partnership with Shiona Tarini and Bermuda Fashion Week. And so one of the designers from the Bermuda Fashion Week will have an opportunity to show their collection in Harlem's Fashion Row. So this will be our 2nd year doing it.
Love it.
But
Love
it's
it.
not as, like, they have me working.
They got you working?
From the time I step on the ground, the time I get there, I am working.
That's fantastic.
So, but it's good.
I
And Bermuda
love it.
is so beautiful. I had never been before.
From last year was the first.
Yeah,
Okay.
last year was my first time going. It is so beautiful.
I want to get there. You
Yeah,
should invite
it's
me.
an hour and a half flight. I should.
Why didn't you invite?
You gonna
This the
keep
kind of
Sky?
stuff she don't. And then got the nerve to put me to work. Got the nerve. If I'm leaving my kids, you think I want to come watch another kid?
Oh,
But you know, Sky is my boo. I watch Sky.
Sky
I
is
watch
your
Sky.
boo.
I watch Sky.
I keep Sam and Dilly anytime.
You would. I love me some
Anytime.
Sky. So
Now, they might come back with all kind of stuff.
Stop, Jesus.
Because you know,
Aunties
I don't
have
know how
no
to
control.
say no to Dilly.
Listen, we came back from Memphis, y'all, and my kids, when we got to, back to Memphis, my kids were like, Mommy, Daddy, we need to run a few errands. I said, really? Where are we going? So they want to go to Fred's because Auntie, my sister, they call her Auntie Awesome Sauce. So my sister Leslie, Auntie Awesome Sauce left something, so we have to go by Fred's to get it. We have to go by Fred's.
What?
So we ended up going to Fred's, collecting some extra toys because I was like, let's go. I love my babies. Anyway, y'all, we are on episode 52.
Oh my goodness. I cannot believe we're on episode 52.
Yeah, thank you for sticking with us, y'all. Thank you
Oh
so
my
much.
God.
We're almost making 1 year.
Oh my goodness.
This is fantastic.
I'm too done.
And we're in part 2 of year 1, so we're hitting up 6 more months into 2016, and we still have some speaking engagements that we'd like to book.
Yes,
so
we do.
If you want to turn up your event,
call the great girlfriends.
Call the great girlfriends.
We're here, and we love you guys so much.
We love you. 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 All 35 downloaders from every Wednesday from over 60 countries. We love all of you.
Yes.
Today, let's dive in, Brandis. Let's talk about perspective.
Oh my goodness.
And this is a very important message. Right now, the temperature, the climate in our country is so hot.
It is so hot.
Yeah, there's
so hot.
A lot going on.
It almost makes you say, I'm not doing anything. You feel like I don't want to do anything but talk about this and figure out like a solution to it. It's tough to keep moving now.
Yeah, and just keep it 100. Coming off of that high that we had at Essence Festival, that cultural high, and coming home to the news of Alton Sterling and what's the other gentleman's name? Philander Castile. Coming home to the news of those two, and then Micah Avery Johnson and the mass shooting today. It just makes you frustrated, angry, pissed, and I mean, I'm not talking about people who are angry people. You know, people who are living happy lives, who have a lot of peace, and you know, who tend to have a strong or positive perspective on things. It makes you frustrated, and it turns things sour, right?
Yeah.
Because you start feeling a little bit of hopelessness, and you start feeling concern and fear
and defeated
and defeat. And you start to question people in your life and whether or not people are genuine with you, and you know, and it puts so much uncertainty into your world.
Absolutely.
But that perspective part of it is so critical, because that is what takes a situation like what happened with Micah Avery Johnson, who had no criminal record, and turned him into a mass murderer.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Because his perspective on what was happening in our culture, in our community, was not mature enough to allow him to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Any one of us could have made that same decision. We're one decision away, but because we have matured our perspective and we practice healthy thinking, healthy response to situations, we have the tools that are necessary for us to keep ourselves positive when things like this hurt. I mean, the tears, you know, I mean, all the girlfriends, we don't even need to dive into all that, the pain part of it. We want to talk to you because we're at the point, a lot of us are at a breaking point, right?
Absolutely.
And so many people on the brink of what do I do, and why should I do something good when everything tells me to just respond in anger.
It's so true.
And then even in personal lives, you know, we have girlfriends that are going through job transitions, and you know, I got an email from a girlfriend who said they're making their rounds at her company, but she was like, you know what? I'm praying for God's will, which meant if she gets a severance package, she's happy. If she stays, she's happy. But just those things are happening right now.
And a lot of people who aren't happy where they are on their jobs. A lot of people are at a place where they've gone to school for certain careers, and they've spent a long time, some of them 20 years in a certain career, and they're like, I'm done. Yeah. So it's,
And then health conditions, quite frankly, you know, coming up on news of people that you love having health conditions that could be near fatal depending on perspective, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so because all of that stuff is happening, and, you know, real world things are happening in all of our lives, we want to talk to you about keeping your perspective in line with where you want to be.
Right.
Not with where you are, because honestly, emotionally, we hit lows.
Right.
You know, but how do we keep ourselves forward thinking, progressive thinking, our perspective in a place that allows us to see our future?
Absolutely. And sometimes it's tough. Because you
girl, every day.
So you're constantly, guys, let me tell you, we don't have this 100% right. It's something that you're constantly tweaking.
You have to be in front of it. You have to be the one.
Your mind is so creative.
Oh my goodness.
And it will take you places, and you're like, how did I even get here? Your mind has sold you a story that's not even true.
Right. And people that would normally look like regular people to you start looking like monsters.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know. And it's just hard. It's really hard. And especially when we're moms and, you know, we're sending our kids to camp and the sitters coming over and our husbands out to work every day. A lot of people may not understand how we feel right now, but it makes us uncertain.
Yeah,
just so you
absolutely.
know.
It does. It really does.
And it sends us to prayer.
It's I'm gonna share one story with perspective for me. My dad had a stroke in 2014, and that probably was, I'm gonna say that was probably the biggest incident we've ever had in my family that just rocked us to the core. I mean, it rocked us because my father was, the rock of our family. That's the strong man. That's the Superman of the family. Like, he's the one who, he eats right. He's taking vitamins. He's the one who's drinking the nasty juices,
the nonies and all that,
because he want to get healthy. He's the one walking, and when he had that stroke, it just, I mean, I can't even tell you how many things. It just made us, it made me question everything. My dad, is a pastor as well. So it was just really, really difficult. And so he came through that. I mean, they did not give us as a family a whole lot of hope in the beginning. They told my mom like all these horrific things about what had happened with his brain and what was going on with him. And my mom is a faith and a prayer warrior, so she was like, I'm not receiving any of this. I'm not even telling my kids any of this. She just told us what I just said, that they told me a whole bunch of horrific things about your dad. And so anyway, so he get through this after, a year or so, and where he wasn't walking, he wasn't talking, he wasn't moving any limbs. He could not even open and close his hands when he first had a stroke. So it got to the place where he was walking, he was opening and closing his hands really well. His left side initially was not, his right side initially wasn't moving like hardly at all, but he got to a place where he started moving that. And really had come a long way, but his speech has still been affected. And it took me a minute to say, okay, because I was focusing so much on the speech part, because I want, and I still believe God for my dad's speech. But it took a long time to really not focus so much on the speech part that I missed all the other amazing things that God has done. And so for me, perspective, when I think about changing perspective, that story comes to mind for me, because it was a matter of me totally changing my perspective and saying, my dad is here.
Yes.
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 He's here. He can understand me. He can communicate with me. He know what's going on in my world. He was able to be there and see, me, have a daughter and him have a new granddaughter.
He's in every city.
He's where I am.
Yes.
So I had to really transition, because that speech thing was really bothering me.
Yeah.
Like, it was really bothering me. To be able to call home. Now, he can understand us, so we still talk to him and have conversations with him, but it's a little bit different when you can't understand what he's saying back. So it's been tough, and it took me a while to say, I'm changing my perspective on how I see this.
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed this guy will have her grandfather.
Yeah.
And that she has all 4 grandparents here.
Yes, that's a gift.
That's a blessing. That's a gift. And cherish that. And don't keep focusing on this one thing that's not right, when all of these other things are just, my dad's on top of the roof fixing stuff. He's outside doing the yard, so I really had to change my perspective, because I think sometimes a situation can happen in our lives, and instead of us looking at the 20 things that have gone right, we look at the 2 things that aren't right, and we choose to focus on those 2 things, and those 2 things honestly affect our attitude. It affects our mood. It affects how we see that thing.
Yeah. Dude, okay, Brandis.
Yeah. I know.
I know. But that is so true. And it's Sherry Riley said this in her session at Essence Festival. She was like, that one negative thought will try to overshadow your 9 positive realities. And if you focus on that one negative thing, it will shape everything you see. Everything else starts looking negative all of a sudden.
Everything starts looking negative.
I start thinking, when you start talking about perspective, last year, same time frame, June, was when I resigned from a company that I had I was with from the beginning, helped to build the company from the living room up, was chief strategy officer, and I left because God told me to leave in April. And so June 1st was May 29th, I'm sorry, was my last day, but June 1st was my first day out. And as I resigned from the company, a friendship that I had for 10 years dissolved. And it hurt me at the core. I mean, this year, how many times I was like, and Brandis, and why? And I tried to, it felt, I've never had a divorce. I can't imagine a pain greater than knowing that someone here on earth is alive that you love so dearly, but you can't reach. You can't get it together. And so everything great about why I resigned was overshadowed for about a month with what's happening with this friendship. Why did this dissolve take place? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? How can I fix this? Can I fix this? Did I make the right decision? Was it me? Does this disqualify me from other great friendships? Does this mean that I'm a bad decision maker? Am I in God's will? All these questions that started to come up that completely almost altered my perspective on what I was doing and why I was doing it. But God. Honestly, but God. And so it took me a while, girlfriends. I'm keeping it really 100 and honest, because anyone that's gone through a hurt like that, or a severed friendship, or even a family situation with your parent, you have to snap back quick. It can't be, you can't let it, you can't sit on it.
Spiral?
What? It's a downward spiral. You don't spiral up.
You spiral down.
You never spiral up. You don't spiral up.
It's always, you are always spiral
down.
Why is that?
I don't know, but you don't have an upward spiral.
I guess gravity.
Gravity pulls you down.
And
that's it. The gravity of a hurt will pull you down.
It will pull you down.
It will pull you down. And I wasn't walking away from my position for anything bad. Everything was amazing. I had clarity. God had given me the assurance and the clearance to go do something that He was assigning on me to do. But everything, that one negative thought overshadowed everything positive. And so I had to reset. So some of you today might be experiencing something like what we've mentioned. It could be a job, it could be a friendship, a marriage. A marriage. You said forever when you said your vows. And then somebody changed their minds on you. What? That's devastating.
That's devastating.
How that dude gonna change? You just,
you don't know.
You don't know. Or you get a diagnosis, and that's not what you planned on getting.
It's so true.
And those things come against us to test our faith.
They do.
To test what we really believe, what we really know about ourselves, right? Like, how much do you know about God? Let me test it. Let me put this against your faith and your belief in God and see how you really feel about God. Are you going to question God? Or are you going to say that I have enough faith and belief to push through this thing?
That's so true. I was thinking, too, when you said earlier, even on a lighter note, Pat Flynn talks about how he used to he would have thousands of great reviews, right? So, look, what do the great girlfriends do when somebody give us a 1-star review? I know. Y'all better not give us no 1-star. But what do we do when that happens?
Yeah,
one
review.
Sometimes it's like you can put something out there. Okay, I got another good one. I know people face this. You put something out there that you think is fantastic, and you get 5 likes.
Oh my gosh!
And you look, and you start questioning because you're like, dang, I knew that was good. Know, it's perspective.
It's perspective.
It's totally perspective.
And we talked about that with Michelle Thornton. On our panel discussion on Friday during Essence Festival with Prudential. We talked about what happens when people don't respond to you the way you think they should. What's your perspective? Why are you doing it? And how do you get back to that? So here we are. When you have the wrong perspective, you block great things from coming. Right, Brandis?
Absolutely.
You block great things from coming because you start to repel it with your mind.
Yes.
Right? And you start saying, because Clifford said no and changed his mind and decided to divorce, maybe I disqualify myself from being with a great guy altogether.
So true.
So you're blocking the idea that someone amazing could come into your life because everybody that you see start looking like Clifford.
That's
You might have a good Clifford, and I don't even know where Clifford came from.
I'm like, where did
Clifford come from? But that's it, right? You block things, or
do.
things happen with that other company.
Yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't start a business with one of my great girlfriends
Yep.
because I did a partnership before, and I blocked the idea that this partnership can be successful.
It's true. And then you start feeding yourself this story. And we get very, like, our imagination is just fantastic. I mean, we could all be authors.
We really could.
With the way our,
Right.
and you pick up on this one thing and you start to sell yourself this story. And that story gets more and more elaborate, and you keep telling yourself that story subconsciously over and over and over again. And as you're telling yourself that story, you don't realize you're blocking all these other great things that could be happening, because a lot of times the story we tell ourselves isn't true.
Oh, most of the time.
It's not true.
It's not true.
It's
the
not
negative
true.
stories
the
that
negative
we tell
stories.
ourselves
The negative stories that we tell.
not true.
It's not true, but we rehearse that thing so often in our heads, and then we block great things from happening because that story that we tells us affects our perspective, which then affects our action.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the number 2, the challenge. It affects your energy and approach to the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
If all of that negative storytelling is happening in your subconscious, it makes it so hard for you to have the right mindset and the right energy and the right connection with people. And then we start to wonder or make these statements and say, I don't really have great girlfriends. But truth of the matter is, in your head, you've told yourself that you don't qualify for great girlfriends because of some situation that you went through with some friend who decided to check out after 10 years.
Right.
That's a lie.
That's true. That's so true.
And I want to just share my own. After that happened, I was like, dang, let me assess all my friendship. Why all my friends got to go through the self-assessment quiz because one friend decided to check out.
Dragging us through the cold.
So everybody went through my survey system analysis. I'm like, call. How long it take to call me back? They don't call back. They not interested. They don't love me. They gonna leave me like the rest. I mean, what is that about? What is that about? But I really had to assess and switch my energy, and I had to tell myself, I qualify for great friendships. I qualify for good, for people to be in my life for a long time.
I mean, because then it makes you start to take everything personal.
Right.
When sometimes it's
not personal. And I had to come out of my little box.
Yeah.
I lived in a box. I had to come out. I had to go out. Be present. Do people even know you live in this world? How they gonna be your friend if they don't know you?
That's so true.
Like, seriously.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm on another track. Number 3.
I mean, we talked about this. You have a false sense of reality.
Everything is a lie.
And it's not true. It's not true.
Nope.
It's this is a funny thing. So I think I may have said the story before, but my friend Joy, who is such an optimist, and I was having really big challenges going through the airport with Sky. And because literally the first, I don't know, how long Sky, the first 8 months of Sky's life, I traveled with her alone.
Yeah.
And I was doing, we took a few trips. This was the first time, Rich at Essence Festival, the first time that I didn't travel with Sky by myself. It was fantastic having him there. But, so I was like, Joy, how do you do it? Because she travels all the time with her little one. And she said, Brandis, you have to just say to yourself that everybody at the airport is my helper. Everybody at the airport is there to help me.
That's right.
And like that little tweak in saying everybody here is my helper made me approach every situation differently when I needed help with something. So it wasn't like, oh, I don't want to ask them for help. I don't want to ask them to take this down. I don't want to ask them. Girl, I have asked people, can you hold Sky for a minute?
Yes.
Like, it's like, I'm probably taking it a little bit too far, but
it's working.
But it's working. And
working.
it makes my trip through the airport so sweatless because I have the mindset that, oh, everybody here is my helper.
Exactly.
It changes everything. Like that one tweak in perspective versus saying, oh my God, it's going to be so tough.
Right.
Going through the airport with my 8-month-old. How am I going to do all this stuff by myself? Like walking through the situation like that.
Yeah.
And walking through the situation saying, everybody's my helper.
Yes, totally different
perspectives.
Totally different.
Changes
I love
everything.
that. I love that. And then number 4, you repel the people that can add value. You just said that. Because I believe, and the word says, the Bible says, life and death are in the power of the tongue.
That's so true.
Everything that we think, if we process it and believe it, we start speaking it. Next thing you know, I'm walking around, I'm telling, girl, friendships are hard, girl.
Yeah.
I had a few that failed.
Yeah.
And, friendships are hard.
And you start telling this story that's not True.
And then what happens? I tell this story to one good friend, Brandis, right? And then Brandis has some great girlfriends that she thought about introducing to me, but all I do is mouth off about how stuff don't work. So Brandis be like, I can't introduce a good, because all she gonna do is run her mouth on some negative Nancy stuff. And then no one feels like hearing that.
It's so
true. Your referral system gets jacked.
It does.
Up.
Because
people don't want to refer you.
People don't want to refer you. And even, like, you can't be that, again, you can't be that person because you end up turning people off.
No.
You
and
know?
Isn't it true? Honestly, some people say they are connectors, but the truth of the matter is we are all connectors.
Mm-hmm.
If you know someone good, if you know someone valuable, if you know someone exciting, you want to share that person. You want to introduce that person.
It's so true.
And if a friend comes to you and says, I need, or a person says, I need,
Yes.
you want to connect them with the
It's
resource.
so true.
That's honest about all of us.
That's so true.
When we have the right perspective.
That's so true.
When we don't have the right perspective and we think that there's scarcity right now.
That's
so I can't introduce you to a great guy because, girl, I'm still looking for a great guy. So how I'm going to
so
pass off my friend,
true.
you know, or I can't introduce you to a
like
job.
Like you saving him.
I know.
You know you don't want to be
You
with
don't want
him.
right? Or I can't
You
introduce
saving him just in case.
Really? Girl, if he the last one standing.
If he the last one standing, I'm going to go on
Or
hook
if
up
you
with
know
him.
about a job
Yep.
and a friend, you know, someone needs it. If you have a mindset that says things are scarce, it says, I can't pass it off to you because I might need that.
It's so true.
Or if someone just needs money or just a resource, whatever
Yep.
it is, the right perspective says, let me figure out how
Yep.
to make myself or my resources available. The wrong says, girl, it ain't enough of this to go
That's
around.
so
How
true.
am I, you know? And so
How am I help you?
Exactly. And that's what we're shifting today, ladies. And hopefully through those challenges, you may have located one or two. Because I know when I think about certain things in my life, and I'll say this one last thing about this. When I used to think of myself, I thought so inadequately of myself when I was going through depression. I just felt like I'm the dirtiest girl, just the lowest. I'm like and I would meet beautiful people, and I'm like, they don't know the truth about me. If they knew, they wouldn't want to be close because I felt so low. And this was this was over 20 years ago, but it was still a very low place. One of the most valuable lessons that Tony Robbins taught me and all the millions of people he's impacted around the world is to say this: all I need is within me now.
That's so true. It give me butterflies.
All I need is within me.
Let's say it, girlfriends.
All I need is within me now. All I need. That was one of Tony's greatest gifts to me, because everything, God is on the inside of us. Girl.
That's so powerful.
That's a game changer.
That's a game changer right there.
Right there. So now that we've given you that big game changer,
I know.
we have 3 more solutions for you on shifting your perspective, because you know Brandis and I do not want you going through this alone.
We don't.
And we don't want you being clueless.
We don't.
And we don't want you asking the wrong person.
We don't. And
to
we
get
want
the
you to have a
answers.
full life.
I'm telling
full
you,
life.
you might ask yourself, how do the great girlfriends, how do Brandis and Sybil smile through so many turbulent times, or they make it look so easy? It's not so easy. We're graced for it, okay? We're graced, and we have a perspective that, and our minds are fixed on what's pure and lovely, what God has given us.
It's so true.
Number 1.
So number 1 is be intentional about changing the story you rehearse in your mind. There's a story that we all tell ourselves, whether we may not ever say this story out loud.
Yeah.
But we tell ourselves that story. And so the biggest thing is start telling yourself a new story. And in the beginning, it might feel uncomfortable in the beginning when you tell yourself that story. But whether you have to write it down every morning and say it out loud a few times every morning when you get up. There was something that I used to say to myself over and over every morning, because sometimes it gets tough, guys.
Absolutely.
And we're fighting a battle in the mind.
Absolutely.
So you have to come to that battle on the offense, not the defense.
That's it.
And by coming to it on the offense, you already have things that you have in place that you say every single morning or every single day to yourself.
That's true. And you could take that and write it for every area of your life. The current story, and then write out your new story.
Yeah, write it out.
What do you want to say? What do you wish you could say about yourself?
Yeah,
write it out.
It's so true. And there are some things that you guys are planning, or something that you might want to do, and some of you have already written your failure story out.
Come on.
And you're telling yourself why this is not going to happen. Why? And trust me, I know what it I know what it feels like when it looks like things aren't going to happen, but you have to tell yourself another story.
You have to.
It doesn't matter what it looks like. It really does not matter. Start telling yourself, what is the thing we put on Instagram? Rehearse your victory. Start rehearsing your victory. What does it look like? What does it feel like when you get that phone call, that the phone call you've been waiting on? Start rehearsing that. Rehearse what you're going to say back to them. Like, start seeing it happen.
Yeah. We started in the early episodes of the podcast. Now we can tell y'all straight up. We had, in the early episodes of the podcast, we had no emails. We had no comments. We had none of it. We had, friends were texting us and people were saying things, but we would thank you guys at the end of the episode for all of your social posts.
Yes.
For all of your emails. We were rehearsing that victory.
We weren't getting no emails.
We were getting them from friends, but not from strangers. And when the strange emails started coming in, we would have thought we were two cheerleaders. I mean, we were doing toe touches, so grateful, but we rehearsed a victory.
We got an email today. Can I share with them?
Sure.
We got an email today. The first email we've gotten. No, the second email we've gotten about someone wanting to sponsor our podcast.
That's right.
Isn't
That's
that
right.
Awesome?
That's a victory for us. That's something we planned months ago and got our pricing together and everything. And the email comes. So we rehearse our victories.
Rehearse your victories.
And that's the other part. Number 2 is to continue to pursue your personal, professional, and spiritual development.
Yes.
When you grow more, you know more.
Yeah.
You can do more.
It's so true.
You show up better and stronger. People can't really tell you much about yourself when you know you've been doing the work.
It's
right?
So true.
Somebody try to tell you, Brandis, you're not blessed. She will probably smack them. Smack them. And I'll be like, smack them again. Smack them again.
Because you know what? See, also I was thinking with this point right here, and just pursuing your even personal development and taking care of yourself.
Come on.
Like sometimes, guys, we have the wrong perspective because we're so depleted.
Absolutely.
And it's so hard to have the right perspective when you're so absolutely depleted.
Absolutely.
Like,
totally.
When you don't have anything to give, when your cup is empty, sometimes it's hard to look for that good perspective.
Yeah. And people think that self-development or personal development is for certain people.
No.
It's for every single one of us.
For
and it's not for someone to come into our life and tell us what we need to do. It's for us to have the internal assessments taking place to know what we need to do.
It's so true.
We're not surprised when somebody say, baby, if you lose a few pounds, you will have a more energetic and vital life.
Yeah.
You don't need to be shocked when somebody come to you. You need to have do the assessing.
Yeah, and sometimes it's even like, sometimes some of us are broken.
Yes,
and we're hurt, and we keep all that hurt and brokenness in, and some of that stuff you can't share with girlfriends.
No.
Some of that stuff you need to, you know how I feel about this.
She's saying run see a therapist.
You need to call a therapist.
but
work through that and have somebody that you can talk all of that stuff out to, and you can get all of that stuff out of your system, because some of it is we're holding so much stuff in that isn't true. Sometimes we just need to get it all out, and sometimes a girlfriend is not the right person for that.
That's true, and you need to know what your safe places are and locate them, and if you don't have one, find one. Get a safe place. And then especially, I want to say this professionally, because in the workplace, I think we can be more divisive sometimes than we can be inclusive. We see another woman and she's doing a fantastic job. Slide up on her and tell her, you're doing a great job. How do you manage? Do you mind if I pick your brain on how you do this? Or I've noticed that, people tend to think, highly of the way you do.
So true.
Do you mind me asking, what are some of your tips for doing great in the workplace? Or this person spiritually, you always seem to be lifted. What scriptures do you stand on, or what are you doing spiritually to keep yourself motivated? Ask the questions, pursue the development, because that's where the growth and strength comes in.
Absolutely.
It really is. I promise you. You could talk. There's one place where you could come to me and tell me that I gotta check myself, and I'll be like, "Amen." My food, girl, know I eat like a man. I do. And if somebody came to me and was like, "You could adjust a few things in your diet," I'd be like, "Let me put the Coke away. Let me put the ice cream," because I got some slip ups. I mean, that's like a straight up like.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I got to work on that.
You're not doing bad.
Girl, child.
But that personal, professional, and spiritual development is major.
It's major. It's critical.
Major. It's major to changing your perspective.
Yeah.
It really is, because you're always checking yourself when you're doing that.
And the other thing about it is not a one-time thing.
Mm-mm.
It's ongoing. I
wish
love
it
that.
was a one-time thing.
Girl, a zap. Like I just zapped you. Yeah, it's an ongoing, because as the world evolves, as life evolves, you have new things that need to be nurtured.
Yes.
And you have to consider them, especially when you go from being single to being married to being a mom to being a mom however many times over.
I'm just going to sit back and say amen.
It's true, right?
It shifts.
There's different sides of you.
I'm still, honestly, I am still adjusting to motherhood and handling motherhood with everything else in my life, because honestly, I only started to feel like myself a few months ago.
Let me tell you a secret.
And I still probably am not fully Branda's.
Here's a secret.
What?
Your mother is still adjusting to motherhood. You never settle. You're certain things that you get down pat, but
it's like
it's a never-ending evolution. Girl,
I knew Branda's pre-baby. It's like I am still I'm still getting adjusted.
You're going to always get adjusted to motherhood.
Oh, my God.
Because there's going to be so many twists and turns. Oh, girl, please. I think every mom would safely say there's always a fresh adjustment that you're making. But it's a good thing. Right, it's a good thing. It's growth.
So I'm never going to feel like the Branda's pre-baby.
You're not her.
Oh, God.
You're a better, newer, stronger Branda's. You got new muscles now, girl. Girl, you got to embrace it. And number 3.
I can't go on to number 3.
Go to number 3.
Number 2.
Number 3. Branda's needs to confer with her wise counsel so she can change her perspective on motherhood.
I love motherhood. Don't get me wrong.
She needs to change her perspective on old Branda's versus new Branda's.
Yeah, because I was like, oh man, when old Branda's comes back, she's gone.
Back. Well, she's in here, but she's wrapped with all these new layers of love and strength.
It is, and it's like the emotion that a child takes. Like it's like, oh my, like I left her today and she was crying with her and it's like my heart physically hurt.
Yeah.
Like there was like physical chest pain.
Yeah.
Cause I didn't want to leave her. Anywho,
it doesn't change.
It's wise counsel is absolutely critical. Yep. Absolutely critical to changing your perspective.
And wise counsel, I like to locate the people who are getting results in things in life. Yeah. So I look for people that have great results spiritually, that have great results mentally, physically. Absolutely. I don't go asking somebody who's on the brink of their marriage how to give me a tip on I go to people I know who've been in the system for a minute, or even at the job. Get wise counsel from a woman who's gone before you. Don't sit and ask questions internally. Go find someone that you can ask questions to. And even if you don't know them, butter up on them and soften them up and say, can I take you out for a steak dinner and ask, you know what I mean?
Take them some coffee.
Take them some cupcakes. Love on them.
And the reason that wise counsel is so important is because if we go to the wrong person with the wrong perspective, it could get worse.
Oh my God, you get the wrong results.
It could get worse.
Absolutely.
And I was saying before, like one of my favorite people to go to is Rich.
Yeah, and that's great.
My husband, he knows me. So he knows me and he is so unemotional about things. He will always help me to see another perspective. Like always. If I go to him with something, he's like, no, babe, I don't think you should think about it like that. I think you should think about it like this. Or I think you might be overreacting on that. Or, like he just always pulls me back.
I love it.
Always. And so it's so helpful.
And that's what wise counsel will do.
Yes.
And the thing is, keep this in mind, girlfriends, because some of you might be saying, I don't have wise counsel. I like virtual counsel too.
Absolutely.
I like it. I will go and look online at something that somebody wrote before. I'll go check out some of their Instagram posts. I do my Insta study. You can
find an article on almost anything now. That's a cheap way of doing it.
So there's no excuses.
Or you can go out there and you can get a coach.
Hello.
You can
You
get
can
a
go.
coach. You can get a therapist. You can get you can again free resources. Anything you're going through, there's an article somewhere on it from somebody who's really good.
That's right. So get your wise counsel, and there's no reason why you can't have wise counsel. If
Yeah.
you have a question without an answer today, it's because you haven't pursued the answer.
Oh,
Right?
say it again.
If you have a question without an answer today, it's because you have not pursued the answer.
Oh wow.
It's out there.
I'm dropping the mic.
Drop-
Well,
mic
I'm
drop.
I'm gonna drop the mic for Sybil on that. That was a mic drop moment.
So silly. All right, our 3 solutions again: be intentional about changing the story you rehearse in your mind,
Continue to pursue personal, professional, and spiritual development.
and confer with your wise counsel. We are so glad that you guys were with us today. We want to thank those husbands.
Yes, we do.
Thank you so much, Kwaku.
Thank you, babe. Thank you, Rich. No, people don't know
Babe
babe
Rich.
is.
And our families and our great girlfriends, we thank you so much for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter.
You can listen on our website, iTunes, Stitcher, Blueberry, Podcast Republic. Where else are we
Podcast
not? Oh, somebody told us we need to be on what's that one other service that people listen to music on? There's another service.
I'm not sure.
Okay, there's one other service. People say, guys, if there's somewhere else we need to be, let us know.
Please let us know. Remember to check us out and follow us on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends.
on Facebook,
The Great Girlfriends.
on Twitter,
_Great GFS.
and make sure you join our Facebook group. It's so much fun in there.
Yes, post your questions, share with your friends. Keep listening and keep being a great girlfriend.
I'm Sybil.
I'm Brandis.
And we're signing off.
Bye, guys. We love you.